The following is an original audio series from Sierra International Machinery, Pile of Scrap, with your host, John Sacco.
Well, hello, everybody. It's been a long time since I've done a podcast, and here we are, another episode of Pile of Scrap. Boy, I say the word pile of scrap or the phrase for the podcast, and in our industry, the word scrap is a bad word, so, do I change the word? Well, the fact is this podcast is inspired by the fact that we're coming up to the ISRI convention, the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries. And they're going to be unveiling the new name of ISRI at the convention because rebranding is important. How we talk about our industry is incredibly important. So I set out with seasons 1 and season 2 to talk about the recycled materials industry. And the success of Repurposed has clearly showed the necessity of our industry, why our industry is critical for our daily lives. And in season 2, we really focused on the output. Yes, I know we talked a lot about steel making from recycled iron. But if you think about it, everything we build in this country starts with a foundation, right? And that foundation has rebar in it. And that rebar in America is being made from recycled iron. So I think it was a great place to start the education of the public about the recycled materials industry. Because quite frankly, people just don't know what it is we do. There's so many misperceptions of what we do. So that's why in episode 2 of season 2, I talk about words matter. Because when we pick up the phone, we call somebody in our industry and we're trying to sell our product and say, hey, what's the price of scrap doing? Well, nobody's going to tell you not to talk that way. But when you talk to somebody who does not know what we do, when you talk to anybody outside our industry, it's so important about the words we use. And, Michael Zmyslansky was just spot on, incredible in the help with ISRI, our trade association, and in season 2, we're talking about words and how people have to identify with who you are. And when people can identify with the recycled materials industry as being the first step in manufacturing, the first step of infrastructure, the first step in things we need, well, now that changes what they think about who we are. So I decided to go to ChatGPT using AI, and I asked them, hey, what are the dirtiest industries in America? Well, you get ag, mining, oil, gas, waste management, textile manufacturing, construction, chemical manufacturing, steel production. Imagine that, steel. Automotive manufacturing, leather, tanning, plastics, pulp, paper, again, recycled materials, food processing, electricity generation, shipbuilding and repair, cement production, electronics. But these industries, most of these industries that I named, if not all of them, are absolutely a necessity to our daily lives. But there's one industry that I find missing on these lists of all the things I talked about for dirty industries. It's the medical industry. Now, I'm not attacking the medical industry, people. That's crazy. But I want to draw the parallel about the essential nature of the medical industry. All right, take a hospital. Hospitals are fundamental to the health care of a nation, to a general population. Clinics, right? Doctors' offices, you name it, anything that has to do with medical, from orthopedics, to surgery centers, for whatever, what have you. But the medical industry is inherently dirty in a lot of different ways that we don't think about, because we always think about the medical industry as a necessity for our health, for our well-being, for the loved ones that need medical attention. My mother just got out of the hospital. She was in there for an infection that got into her blood, and she was there for 10 days. And when you go into a hospital, you see the care they're taking. And this is why I call it a dirty industry. The red bags with the blood-borne pathogens and the needles and the from a surgery room where there's blood and the utensils and stuff that they have to discard and properly dispose of these biohazards. In hospitals, how many loved ones have we heard got MRSA, got an infection from a surgery they had? Not because it's just the nature of the medical industry, right? But we don't badmouth it. We might not like the cost of it, but the people, the surgeons, the nurses, and all the people, the people who work in maintenance in hospitals and the people who do the cleaning, the janitorial staff. I don't think we use the word janitor anymore. Call me old school. But the point is think about it. Hospitals have some inherent dangers that are truly dirty, that are unhealthy for the human, right? So now when you go and look at the recycled materials industry, people want to call us junk. People want to call us waste. Well, call it what you will. We're a commodity industry, but dirty doesn't necessarily make an industry bad. So we're not going to call the medical industry bad, are we? No, we're not. But I'm going to ask you a straight up question. Can you build a hospital, a clinic, without the recycled materials industry? No, you cannot. Because the rebar that is used to start any of these clinics, hospitals, in America, rebar is made from recycled iron. That's what we saw in season 2 of Repurposed. We actually got to see from recycled iron from a metal recycling facility to a steel mill, right? Being made into rebar. Then we saw that rebar going into construction projects. And we saw actual footage of a local hospital here in Bakersfield that's expanding. And all the rebar that's coming out of the columns. Think about that. Can't build that medical facility without our industry. Medical's not dirty, yet we are. See, I don't think that's fair. And I think it's incumbent upon us to change the narrative. And that's why words matter. That's why how we talk about our industry, and I guess I'm one person, but a lot of people are starting to get on board with this. I see it on LinkedIn all the time, and people, they say, oh, the scrap industry, materials industry, and they say, I'm sorry, John Sacco. But you know what? I love the fact that people are recognizing that words matter, because who your audience is vitally important. So I asked ChatGPT. This is interesting. I asked them, when I talk about dirty industries, I'm talking about employees that actually get their hands dirty and require a shower after work. So let's talk about the 20 industries that they named off. Construction industry. We're going to outlaw construction because people get their hands dirty building things we need, building supermarkets, and we need food, building any form of infrastructure, highways. How about building our schools, building our hospitals? Again, things we absolutely need in our lives. Food processing is incredible. How about building research centers? How about building these tech companies for the microchips that we need? The automotive industry. Come on, you name it. The construction industry. So we're not going to outlaw construction because it's dirty. We have a different view of it because we go, well, the construction, it's a tough industry, but we need it, right? We need the recycled materials industry. All right, mining. Well, there'd be a lot of people who would argue we don't need mining, but the truth is mining is important for so many products. Rare earth minerals. If we're going to do EVs, electric vehicles, we need more copper. We need more rare earth minerals. Coal. Mining, from gold to silver products. Mining also has a lot of minerals that are used in the pharmaceutical industry. So we're not going to outlaw mining right away. All right. How about agriculture? I'm from Bakersfield, California, and around here we are an ag-heavy industry. And so when you look at the agriculture industry, well, now, ever been into a potato sorting plant where they process potatoes and package them? They come from the field. There's a lot of muds, as well as carrots. When you harvest food that comes from in the ground, like a potato and like a carrot, there's a lot of dirt with that. How about the table grapes? How many table grapes are consumed around the world that come from this area? So many table grapes. How about the farming of melons and row crops like lettuce? People are getting dirty. At the end of the day when you're farming, at the end of a day, you're going home and you're having to take shower. There's some chemicals. Not all farmers are not all organic. There are chemicals used in farming and pesticides so we can grow food that we need to eat. Not everything is hunky-dory, super clean. And if you think about farming, the dust, for the wheat farmers and, when they have to, plow the field, there's dust, there's dirt in the air. And when you plant the seeds and then you fertilize the seeds, you're out in the field every day. Joe Jamara, who ran Jamara Vineyards, a huge, huge farming company, more than just grapes. He worked in the fields until the day he died. He was out there every day. He lived to 96 years old because he was out there every day. So we're not going to outlaw farming anytime because I think we have to eat as a nation. So let's keep moving. Now, here's one of my favorite ones. How about waste management? What does that mean? Not the company, Waste Management. How about the garbage industry that picks up our throwaways from our house, from industry, from restaurants, and all the waste that is generated that is not a recyclable? Now let's make this perfectly clear. I am talking about stuff going to a landfill to be buried. Because a commodity like recycled iron, copper, aluminum, stainless steel, and paper, that's all a commodity because we pay for it. So I'm talking about stuff that has no further use. Webster's Dictionary. Waste is what has no further use. So we're talking about stuff that's going to the landfill or going to a MRF that gets separated. Now that is a filthy, filthy industry. And if you think about it, out on the East Coast, they actually bail MSW, municipal solid waste. Well, if you've ever been in one of those facilities in the summertime where it's 100 degrees and the high humidity, it is probably one of the most disgusting facilities you will ever in your life be in. It's nauseating, disgusting. But we have to have it because by the collection of waste, by the collection of solid waste and properly dispose of it, we have healthier lives, yet that's a dirty industry. So again, we can't outlaw waste. You ever remember the waste strikes in New York City where garbage was stacked up, way high, and the rats, the vermin, that was a public health problem, and we can't have it. So again, dirty industry, we're not going to outlaw it anytime soon. All right, oil and gas. Well, the energy sector, whether you like oil or not, the fact of the matter is oil is not going away. We need oil for energy. We need oil for transportation. We need oil. The oil and gas industry, now there's the dirty jobs, but we can't live our lives without it. We can't live our lives without recycled metals, right? We got that clear? I think I'm pretty passionate about it. But there's so much regulation on us. So many people would like to call us waste and hazardous waste. Well, no. We are a commodity processing business. So again, I'm going to reiterate this. You're going to hear it a bunch of times. How about automotive repair? I love this one. We're going to outlaw automotive repair. Have you seen these guys, these grease monkeys who service cars? We call them grease monkeys, and we do it lovingly. Well, that's not a disparaging phrase for people. These people get their hands dirty. They get oil on them, and they're in there, fixing brakes. You got to stop a car, right? You got to let these motors run. So the automotive repair, we're not outlawing it because people get oil and gas and dirt underneath their fingers. No, silly. We're not going to outlaw it. But it's a necessity because transportation is a necessity in this country. And let's talk about mass transit for a section. That's good. Let's talk about mass transit as a subject matter. Trains, buses, the mass transit systems across America all require maintenance. I've talked about this before. And these people who maintain this public transportation, they get dirty. They go home and they're going to take showers and heavily wash their hands, so they can be presentable. Again, we're not outlawing it, but it's a necessity. And these are the things, this is why I keep drawing the parallels. Can I even talk about it enough? But let's keep going. How about painting? Well, People have their houses painted. People have their buildings, their place of works. Why? Because you got to make a good image. You can't just have a house that looks run down or a corporate office that you got to paint this stuff. Well, painters get dirty. We can outlaw painting? No, we're not. We use oil-based paints and water-based paints. We don't use lead paint anymore. Why? Because lead was bad. But we didn't outlaw the painting industry. We made changes to it. Welding, my goodness, welding. I don't know any industry where that doesn't need welding of some sort. Construction industry, the medical industry, the manufacturing sector. I mean, welding, the repair, maintenance of oil infrastructure, highway infrastructure, anything mechanical. Welding is necessity. If you look at the equipment that is used in the recycled materials industry, welding is the backbone of this industry. At Sierra, our balers that we make in Georgia have to be welded. The plate has to be welded together. That plate is coming from recycled iron from the SSAB steel mill that I featured in season 1. Think about that. Balers used in the recycled materials industry are made from recycled materials. How great is that? That's the full circle. But I need welders to weld these things together because we have to process recyclables. And the recycled materials industry is investing hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars annually, to process recyclables, to save our natural resources, and to get to the mills the raw materials they need. We are a raw material supplier. I haven't said that yet in this podcast. Steel mills cannot operate in America. Electric arc furnaces cannot operate without recycled iron. Nor can the processing of aluminum. Take Novelis. They're a monster secondary aluminum manufacturer. And they make sheet for aluminum cans. Well, 50% of that sheet that they're melting is made from recycled aluminum other than aluminum cans. How about our electrical grid in this country? Again, season 2, repurpose. I focus on this. So, staying on repurpose for a second, so I may be getting a little off track. I get calls and emails and texts a lot from people who want to know, can they use repurpose when they go to talk to schools or when they talk to city officials or anybody? Here's my answer. Please use it. Share it. We don't make money off this. Transparent, open book here. Season 1 and 2 are on the Sierra International Machinery YouTube channel. You can use repurpose for free. Talk to kids. I talked to a school, a local high school here where my kids went to high school. It's a private high school. And I had talked to the teachers. This was great. I really loved it. I had the teacher, we talked about how I was going to talk to the class. And I had the teacher ask the kids in the class to write 2 paragraphs on a paper what recycling is and what it means. And then their homework was to go home and watch season 2 of Repurpose. So when I went and talked to the kids, they were amazed because I started off the class reading papers, a couple papers that the kids had wrote. And this was in their engineering class. It's in the STEM program at this high school. They have a great STEM program, science and math and engineering. So, these are kids with very great minds who want to do something, who are trying to get, professional degrees in engineering and other sectors, architecture and science, that medicine and what have you. So there were some very bright kids in this class, and they were amazed. After they read their paper, they all said pretty much the same thing, that recyclables are waste, and by reducing waste, it's good for our environment. Well, nobody's going to argue it's good for our environment, but I told them all, you've all been fed a lie. Recyclables aren't waste because they're a commodity. And I all asked them this question. And it was in 2 classes. I said, how many of you would ever call gold waste? Raise your hand. Nobody raised their hand. I said, why? One kid raised their hand. I go, why? They go, well, because gold's valuable. Okay, good answer. Why? Another person raised their hand. This was my favorite answer. Because we've been told it's valuable. And I told them, and you've been told recyclables are waste. But that's a falsehood. Because if we're buying metals and recycled paper and plastic because they're a commodity, how then are they waste? And when I was talking to the kids about this, they all agreed. They said, wow, I never even thought about it. And I would even argue this point, that recycled iron, copper, aluminum, paper, and stainless are actually more valuable than gold. Why? Because without it, we can't build our hospitals, we can't build our schools, we can't build our airports, we can't have the automotive industry, we can't have food and farming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Think about that. Without the recycled materials industry, there's a lot we can't have in this world. We could live a lot better without gold than we can without the recycled materials industry. Think about it. So let's talk about sewage industry. Sewage plants, the sewers, the metal, the plants. Sewage plant, where does it start? Well, it first starts with the foundation, rebar. Now, we all agree we need sewage plants. It's for the health of a nation, the health of an environment. We can't just discard human waste on the streets. We all know this. But how are we going to have it without steel, aluminum, and copper, and all the other metals that go into a plant, from the electrification to the motors to all the non-corrosive metals that are used in a sewage plant? The bulk of those materials and the finished product and how they construct a sewage plant comes from the recycled materials industry. So, it's stunning to me that the incredible nature of our industry is really stunning when you think about it. Yet, we need to educate the public. And people who listen to Pile of Scrap have often commented to me, but I think this is an important episode because I'm encouraging everybody. Please share repurpose. Share the message of who we are and not what people think we are. Because we're not junk. We're not waste. And know who our audience is. Let's talk to people that way because that's important. So another subject I want to talk about, what has given our industry a bad image? Well, I think some of it's our fault. And it may not be the most popular thing to hear. But what do people see when they come to your facility? Now take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror because you know the truth. Now, if they come to your facility and see clean paved roads, equipment that is well maintained, organized, they're going to think we're a manufacturing facility. That's what a real recycled materials facility is anyway. We are manufacturing the raw material needed for mills to consume to make new products. So at Sierra, I've been posting now for a couple of years about our forklifts because I firmly believe this. I believe that our equipment is the mirror into our company culture and is the reflection of our industry to the public. Because when you come to our facility here in Bakersfield and you see our forklifts, they're spotless. They're almost 26 months old now is the time of this podcast. I don't allow scratches. We don't allow it. Our culture here has changed. It doesn't happen overnight. And I want anybody listening to this in this industry know, how does it happen? How do you do it? I've been asked that question. How do you do it? You got to work with your employees. You have to let them know that running into things isn't tolerable, because running into, bins and posts and buildings is also allowing them to run into people. And think of the tragedy that is. So I think the image of what do our trucks look like when they go down the road? Think about that. Every Friday and Saturday, we are washing our trucks. Even if it's raining, we're cleaning them. We're cleaning the mud off. There's a lot of places in this country that deal with a lot of snow, heavy rains, and I can appreciate that. But there's no excuse for not maintaining your equipment, because when your truck with your name is going down the road saying ABC Recycled Metals Company or Demolition or, Metals, Iron and Metals, whatever the name of your company is, what do they see? If they see a clean truck, if they see a truck that is meticulously maintained. Now, shout out to Brett Eckhart, man. Brett is a truck freako, and he keeps his trucks spotless. Ed Kingeter at Cass. I mean, they're billboards. Adam Weitzman, Upstate Shredding, all these companies. I mentioned these, and there's hundreds more of these people who do a wonderful job in this industry. But I mention them because they're the first ones that come to my head, and because they believe what I believe. Our rolling fleet is the rolling billboards. People see who and what we are. So I think our image has been tarnished by our past sins. But the future is dependent on us. If we keep our yards and our facilities looking how they should be, people will never call us junk ever again. They'll understand that we are a manufacturing facility. They'll understand that we are the first step in manufacturing. We are the first step in products that are used in our daily lives. So I just want to encourage people because, look, change is required. People hate change. Michael Smezlansky said it best, that people don't like change. And because change isn't easy sometimes. Well, we've been doing it like this forever. But I'll tell you what we have changed is our safety culture in our industry. Why? Because we learned that when I was chairman in 2012, when I gave the speech in front of everybody, my last convention as chairman, we were the fourth deadliest industry in America, the recycling industry, they called it. And we were a big part of that. Today, we're not even in the top 10 because we changed. Because we understood the value of lockout, tagout. We understood the value of protection for our employees, the PPE, the hard hats, the glasses, the gloves, the high reflection clothing, the steel-toed shoes. We found the value in safety meetings. We found the value in the ISRI ISEC committee where we have our industry safety professionals come together, talk about ideas that can help us be better. We learn, we changed. We can change the way we talk about our industry. I'm really excited about coming to ISRI and being part of the unveiling of the new name. I worked on that committee. I know I'm not the person who came up with it. No, I'm not the person who changed it, if you will. I just helped. Me and a committee full of hardworking, far more intelligent people than me, we came together and had a committee, a task force on rebranding and the image. And I think that this work has been solid work. But it isn't just ISRI's job and whatever our new name is. And it isn't the job of a few of us out there who are, out there every day talking about the great work our industry is. It's everybody in our industry now. And when you post on your social media, may I make a suggestion? Make sure all your safety gear, your hard hats, your glasses, your vest, and what have you, put out there what we are. Put our best foot forward. We can do this as an industry. And, I talk to people all the time. They reach out to me on LinkedIn and Instagram and who know me, email me, call me. It doesn't matter. I'll talk to anybody. If you're willing to make changes and you want some suggestions, I'll give you my shot. I'll introduce you to people who've done probably a better job than Sierra in their image. But I'm part of, but it's my passion. Let's be honest. It's my passion to change the way people talk about us. And when people find out what we do, they always say the same thing. Wow, I had no idea. Let's change that. Let's work together. Let's change that. So anyway, that's it for this episode of Pile of Scrap. I look forward to seeing everybody at ISRI, at the convention coming up here starting April 12th. In Las Vegas. That's when the government starts. Opening night is Monday night, the 15th. come by, come say hi. Come, I like meeting people. Come say hi to us at the ISRI, at our Sierra booth. Yes, we sell equipment, full disclosure, but I'm there. I'll be podcasting as well. And I'm just excited about the future of what we've got planned. I'm super excited about where we're going, and we're going to change the narrative together. So let's jump on board. That's it. And this has been another episode of Pile of Scrap.
This has been a Sierra International Machinery original audio series. Thanks for listening. Please share this podcast and make sure to subscribe.